Yeah, I've got one story I gotta tell you. It involved a 8-man recon team. We had a mission called Prairie Fire, and that mission was to take recon teams out across the border into Laos and drop them off, and in 7 days pick them back up. Very seldom did they last 7 days. They usually got found and got in contact, and we'd have to go pull them out. And the mission consisted of the Army, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps. The guys on the ground were Green Berets, and they usually had about, on an 8-man team, they have 2 Americans and 4 mercenaries. It could be Cambodians, Laotians, anybody that wanted to fight for money. We took this team off and dropped them off. About 3 days later, the weather was getting bad, and they wanted us to pick them up. So we went out to pick them up, and I called ahead and I asked him for a sit-rep situation. He said, it's been all quiet, except last night we heard a dog barking. Dog barking out in the jungle, that's a little, I don't know. So we get out there, and the trees are about 100 feet tall, or maybe a little better. And so the Army Huey came to a hover above the trees and started feeding ropes down. We were going to take 4 guys out, and then the other Huey would come in and take 4 more guys. And they hooked themselves up on these 150-foot ropes. They all carried a parachute harness with them in their backpack for such a situation. So that first Huey comes to a hover, all hell breaks loose. He starts taking all kinds of fire from 3 different directions. He pulls out of there real quick. We had a Air Force Forward air controller with us. He had 2 jet fighters with him. They called him in, and they dropped their bombs all the way around their position. Things got quiet. At that time, 2 A-1E Sky Raiders showed up from the Air Force. They were making circles up high above us in case they were needed. So the Huey comes in, same place, stops, starts dropping ropes. Everything's cool. Gets 4 guys hooked up, and he starts picking up. All this fire comes up at him again. So at that time, our gunships rolled in and fired our rockets and machine guns. He got 4 guys out and took them a distance, and he's 1,500 feet above the ground with 4 guys hanging on these ropes. The guy on the ground threw all radio procedures out the window because he was pretty scared. We can hear him talking, and we can hear the gunfire through his radio. And he said, "Hey man, you've got to get me out of here. We's going to be dead." And we told him, hang in there. We're trying. And then the Sky Raiders come down and started dropping bombs around the area. As they were doing this, this other Huey snuck right in there while the bombs were still going off and dropped his ropes, got those guys hooked up, got out of there. Now I'm talking about 45 minutes of this situation.
Yeah.
He gets out, and we're flying back to Quang Tri with these guys at 1,500 feet above the ground. The radio operator is talking to us. We can't hear him. All we hear is the wind running past his mic. I called the Army Huey, and I said, "Have your crew chief take a look underneath, see if he sees something wrong." And pretty soon I got the report back. Crew chief says he can't see anything wrong. I said, "Well, I'll fly up there as close as I can and see if I can see anything." So as I start flying up towards the guys hanging on the rope, we get a clear sentence of what he was saying. He said, "Hey man, kiss me down on the ground. I was scared." Oh, we all had a big laugh on that one. We just got him out of a terrible situation. But man, he didn't like being up there on that rope. There was an abandoned artillery base in our flight path, and I had a couple Army Cobras with me, and I told them, go prep that artillery base with some rockets, make sure there's no booby traps. So they did. We got them down on the ground, got them back inside, and continued on back to Quang Tri, and got them back to base. And, oh, that boy was so happy. He threw his arms around me and gave me a big kiss. It was a very rewarding situation.
That's
Nobody
awesome.
got hit even. Nobody got wounded.
That's
It
awesome.
was,
That's great. Congratulations.
it was one of those things that happened, and everything turned out well.
Good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's a good story.
I wouldn't trade my time in Vietnam for anything. was miserable at times, it was heartbreaking at times, and at times it was very rewarding.